Hello and welcome along to another episode of this Snooker 19 career, the other O'Sullivan with me, Daniel. It's episode 6 today, and we've come back for a very special reason for the English Open, as we're partway through our first round match with Luca Brecel, and it looks like we're actually going to win a game for the first time in a traditional snooker tournament. If we go and have a quick look at the schedule first though, we've been through a few events already. The last one, the International Championship, we lost to Brecel in that one, and unfortunately before that, we didn't get through the competition in the 6th Red World Championship. We lost to Ronnie O'Sullivan and then Mark Davis off camera before we did get a win in a dead rubber at the end, but we still haven't won a game of traditional 15 red snooker, which could be a first for today. We've missed out on qualifying in a few other tournaments as well, and we're about halfway through the season now and still haven't managed to get a win, so it is quite an important one, and the tournaments in the UK are among the most important to us. We want to do well at home and show the fans what we can do. So we're still ranked in 127th. We still haven't beaten that highest break of 67 either. We have got one win on the board, but again it wasn't in a ranking tournament because we saw that there was prize money for winning in the 6th Red Championship, but we haven't been awarded any despite winning one of our group matches. So a little bit strange, that one. Let me know if you know the reason for that, but we're going to bet back into this game against Luca Brecel. As you can see, we're currently up by 2 frames to 1. It's Brecel to break in the 4th, and we've got 2 chances to get a win in this one, although we have lost from this position before. So let's get back into the 4th frame and see Luca Brecel take the break. Here we go then, Brecel's breaking off in the 4th frame, our first of 2 chances to win this match. It looks a pretty good one on the face of it. If we could get through to this red it would be lovely, but I think the brown's going to cover it and we'll be left with a safety shot and nothing else. We can get to it, but can we get a potting angle? That's going to be the main question. It looks like we can, so maybe we're on for a break, although with the rest of the reds bunched up, it's unlikely to be a big one. We can see we've got the potting angle then, so let's see if we can get it in. It looks like we're getting very slightly better at managing the cue ball in this game. It's certainly the hardest thing and the most rewarding thing once you get it right, but I haven't been getting it right consistently enough, which is why our average breaks are so low. So we're going to get a lot of topspin on the ball just to try and come back for the black, and if not we'll play a safety, but one less red on the table makes it easier for us. I don't care if it's a low scoring frame as long as we get the victory. We've put the black out of play entirely, so it looks like we're left with just the blue or the yellow and maybe even the green to the other corner. Although having said that, we've got an angle on the pink, so we might be able to put that into the middle and then just come back and play a safety with a little bit of backspin, hopefully aiding us to stay at this end of the table. So let's take a lot of the power off the shot. We just want to literally roll this one in, and then if we can give ourselves a nice angle to play a safety shot, we'll be very happy with our start to the frame. A break of 7 would be lovely. We're not too worried about getting century breaks or anything like that now. We're in a winning position, and I've got to make it a scrappy frame just so we can give ourselves the best chance against players who are far more free flowing than us. So let's just try and play a safety off of this one. We're hitting it pretty full on, so I'm going to go about 40% and then we'll put a little bit of angle on it just to try and go back up the table. A little bit of forward spin as well. Hopefully we'll just go in between the green and brown, and if we don't then hopefully we won't leave anything on and get a good start to this frame. So let's go for it about 40%. We're managing it a little bit better. We've kissed the reds on the way back up as well, which isn't ideal, but if the blue saves us on the top one, the rest of the reds are safe. So let's see if we've got away with it. Hopefully Brecel won't have a pot on. It looks like he's got it to the bottom. He's gone for it and put it straight in the middle of the pocket, so unfortunately it's a poor start for us again, and we're going to be hoping this isn't a big break. Brecel puts the blue in 2. He's got a red onto the bottom corner, so it looks like it could be the start of a big break for him. We'll just see if this one goes in and then what he does with the colour, and if he continues his break after that, then we'll break off until we're back at the table. He's gone for a bolt colour, so I'd imagine the next shot will be a safety, although he's not going to get an opportunity as the yellow rattles in the jaws of the pocket. It doesn't drop though. The cue ball's fallen back down the table, but unfortunately the reds are all safe, so we haven't really got an option from here. We're going to have to play safe again, and hopefully we'll do it a little bit better this time. We've lined up our shot then, a very gentle kiss on the outside of the red, and then we're going to try and get back up the table. Just 30% power and a little bit of topspin, so let's see if we can make it work. We've underhit it by a couple of percent, and it looks like that's going to show, as it's not going to reach the vault cushion, but it may get itself tight to the brown, and it has done, which means we're going to have a really difficult shot for our opponent here. He's going to be hampered when trying to take the shot. He has played a nice safety and opened up the reds a little, so if we can win this safety exchange, hopefully it'll be a frame winning opportunity. opportunity. It looks like he's left one onto the bottom corner again. It's just whether we can find an angle to get on a colour. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. But the red passes to the corner lovely, so we've just got to try and find an angle here. I'm not quite sure we'll be able to. We may have to go for a little bit of backspin. So it looks like we've got the angle to get past the pink, even if it means coming up for the blue. So let's just hope we can pot this red, and then the rest we'll worry about after. 48%'s a little too powerful, but we've got away with it as the red's in the pocket and the pink has been missed, and now we're on the blue to the middle pocket. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Apologies for the slight jump cut there, but we're back now with the blue, and hopefully we can get ourselves on a reds. I've come back to this screenshot just so you can see what we're aiming for. We're going to try and roll the blue in and get on this cushion, and then aim for the red just above the pink. Hopefully it'll be onto the bottom right on screen. So let's just try and put this one in, and fingers crossed we can build a frame winning break, and not only a frame winning one, on this occasion actually a match winning one. So we've got onto the red okay. We're a little bit tighter to the cushion than we'd like, which means we haven't got the option for backspin, which will hamper us in getting on a colour. So we've got one of two options here. We can either try and screw back as much as possible, and then maybe go for the blue to the corner, or we can just go smashing through the reds and try and open them up and get lucky. So let's see what the backspin option does. And we can only get back to about halfway, and it's not really giving us an opportunity, and we don't want to hit it that hard if we can avoid it. So we're just going to screw forward and see if it works out for us. If we can go through the reds, hopefully we'll get lucky. We've just got to try and avoid hitting one full on. So if we can get a little bit of a half ball contact as it's planned to be there, hopefully it'll go okay. If we can get on any of the top four colours, I'll be pretty happy with that. So let's just try and stun through the reds and see if we can get on a colour. We've gone through the pack. It looks like a really good shot. The pink's been covered to the corner, but the blue looks almost straight to the top pocket. So hopefully that'll work out quite nicely for us. The red's in, which is the main thing. And look at that. It's absolutely dead straight. What a perfect outcome that is. We split the reds beautifully, and hopefully if we can hold our position in the middle of the table, we'll be on for a couple of reds to the bottom. So let's try and add a little bit of power. We don't want to screw back too much. If we can just end up below the blue spot, we've got a couple of reds to either corner. So let's go for that. 57%. We'll try and slightly under hit it rather than over. We've left the blue off its spot, but it's managed to just fit back next to the cue ball. I really didn't think that would be the case, and now we've got a couple of options. We can either go for the red we're onto the bottom corner, or we can try and get the red to the other corner just to get it out of the way for the bigger value colours. But obviously the problem with that is, will we get on a colour this time? At least with the other one we can get back up for the blue. So let's try and do that. Hopefully we can get around the pink again. We've negotiated it a few times so far, and it seems to have worked okay on those occasions. So let's see if we can get back up for it here. Again, we've got to hit it pretty powerfully, and hopefully we won't end up missing the opportunity. We've got to make sure the red goes in first. So we've actually changed our approach here. We're going to try and keep the cue ball on the same side, and hopefully we'll have a good angle on the blue then, as well as a chance to get onto a red after that. So we're going for about 50% power. We've managed 52. I'm not quite sure we'll come high enough for the blue, but we've got the green to the corner if need be. And to be fair, with that angle, we've possibly got the blue to the corner as well. So the blue's a bit of a tricky pot, but the green's on quite nicely. So we're going to go for that one and then try and work our way back down the table just to see if we can get onto a red. We'll try and reset the spin because I've accidentally overdone it there, and hopefully we'll be able to pot the ball. I don't want to start the shot just yet. We've got to sort out the spin first. We want to put a lot of top spin on the ball to try and get back down the table, and hopefully we won't have overdone it too much with 66% power. It's managed to go in. We've underhit it slightly, and it looks like it's going to be a perfect shot. If we can just nudge the edge here, it would be perfect, but unfortunately it doesn't look like we're going to do it, and I don't know if we've got any of these reds left on. So let's see if we can get to any of the others around the pink spot. We can, but not to the potting angle, although this one to the middle may save us despite our awful positional shot. We're going to have to roll it in and hope we can get back up for the blue. Again, it's pretty much straight, so it's a really difficult pot, as we've got to avoid potting the cue ball as well. We're going to go for about 20% power and hope the cue ball doesn't follow it all the way, although it will mean a difficult colour again, as we're not able to hold for the blue. The pink's a little bit of an acute angle as well, so it may be going for the blue to the middle and going off the top cushion, or alternatively going for a tricky brown, where we've got a better chance of getting a position afterwards. But I think we're going to go for the blue and just see if we can get back down the table afterwards. We don't need to hit this one quite as hard, maybe about 40% will do it, just a little bit of topspin as well, and hopefully we can get back down the table. So the blue's in safe and sound, that's the most important bit. We've come back down to the bottom half of the table as well, and I think we've got that red to the bottom corner. It seems to have turned out perfectly, despite the fact we got ourselves out of position. So the break's now up to 22, that's a really good sign for us, and hopefully we can build a match winning score here as we look to pot another red. The problem is obviously coming back up for the blue every time, something we're not particularly good at. When you're struggling in a positional sense, the hardest thing is having to go halfway up the table every time, and we're not judging our powers very well, which is making it a little bit difficult. We've got 33% on that one, trying to give ourselves an option on the pink or blue, and although we've done that, we've left ourselves exactly halfway between the two, which doesn't really make things any easier. So let's see what the angle on the pink is there. I'm not entirely confident looking at that, so I think it's either going to be blue to middle again, or we're going to go up for the brown this time, where it's a little bit easier to get the potting angle as it's much more straight than the blue. So we've chosen the brown, we're going to put plenty of spin on it again, and we're just going to go above 50% to try and get ourselves back down the table. In fact, we could probably go a lot less if we wanted, although it is a fairly full contact on the ball, and I'm just worried about hitting the green on the way down if we don't get enough power on it. So let's go for 50 odd percent, see if we can get back down the table, and if we do hit the green we'll play a safety, but it looks like we've missed it well. We've just got to get on one of these reds, which I'm not sure we're going to have done. If we can get in between the two on this side and reach the one on the cushion at the other end, we could be in a good position to get the pot and hopefully build our break again. So it looks like we've got a good angle on this one, although getting on a colour is going to be tricky. We may have to go for backspin just to try and get on the black or pink, although that's going to be a little bit risky as we really need to drop the red in with no pace. So we're just going to go for 20%. If the break ends, then so be it. We've got to make sure we get the pot first. That's the most important thing. We've safely managed that. The pink might well be onto the bottom, but if not, again, we've got a fairly straight blue. So although this is a really tricky break with the pink and black tied up the whole time, it does leave us a good opportunity, and we're still on for a match winning contribution. We should be able to screw back on this blue as it is entirely straight, and hopefully that will get us on one of the reds in the pack, which will mean we haven't got a tricky shot this time. So let's just screw back a little, see where it will leave us. We want to be on one of the bottom two really, as the others hamper each other on the way down, and then if we can just leave the top two there, they'll both go into the bottom corner easily. So 63% is suggesting we need. We might not go quite so much. I'm just going to take 1 or 2% off. We've managed 63% in the end anyway, and we've gone on for that third at the bottom of the three, so hopefully that'll be an easy pot, and we'll continue this break again as we look to put in a match winning contribution. It seems to be going pretty well, even though we're getting out of position as we're having to go up and down the table. We're still making the pots quite well, and we're still finding a colour with a relatively straight angle, so we've not had too many risky pots. They've just not been the higher value colours. So again, we're going for about 35% just to try and get back up for the blue. Again, we'll probably overhit it, but as long as the red goes in, that's the most important thing. Now we've made a bit of an error here because we've hit the pink on the way down, and that means we're not going to be up for the blue, but we've got a little bit lucky as the pink's got a relatively friendly angle to the middle, and hopefully we'll just be able to drop it in. We'll have to hit it extremely lightly for it to drop into the middle pocket, as those jaws are a little bit tougher in those middle ones, but it should leave us naturally on for the two reds to the other corner, which could be a brilliant scenario for us. So we're just going to try and drop this in, literally about 18% power. If we're on the cushion, so be it. We're going to want top spin on the next shot anyway. We've ended up with 17%. The pink's rolled in. We're on the two reds perfectly, and although the pink's gone back on its spot, that won't hamper us with the bottom of the two at all. So we're on for that one. Hopefully we can screw through, and if we can get onto the pink or the other red, or at least split them nicely, it should leave us in a frame winning position. So let's just stun through there. Brilliant shot that is, although have we managed to get on a colour? Again, it looks like blue to the top corner, although it's a relatively straight pot, so it shouldn't be too risky again. Let's see how much of an angle there is on this one. It's important for us that they're relatively straight, or it could get a little bit tricky and add some risk that we really don't need. It looks like it's not too bad, and hopefully again we'll be able to screw back, and if we can get onto another red, then we've done our job for this one. Getting onto a red seems a little bit trickier here though, so hopefully we'll be able to hold our position, otherwise we could be in a spot of bother. We may have to go for power. Again, we just want to try and avoid the pink, and if we can get onto a red, that's great, but I wouldn't bank on it just yet. Okay, we're going for the triple header then. We want to pop the blue, swerve around the pink and then hit the red as well. Hopefully we'll be able to do that and the bounce will be favourable for us. So we're going full power. This blue needs to be dead straight. It is. It's into the heart of the pocket. We've nudged the first red into a pottable position and that is the perfect outcome from that shot. We've got one of two to choose from now. So we could get the tricky one out the way or we could go for this one to the bottom corner. That gives us a better chance at the colour, but do we just want to get the tricky reds out the way? One more red and a colour and we've got a half century break, so I think we just need to get the easy red in and we can worry about the rest afterwards. Again, we've got a bit of backspin we can put on this one, which should leave the pink in a pottable position, so hopefully we won't overhit it and end up in the middle pocket. But 31% should roll the red in and hopefully we've got a nice angle on the pink to get onto the next red as well. So hopefully a 50 break is well on the way now. If we pot this pink, we've certainly achieved that. Here we go then, we've lined the pink up nicely, it really looks like a good angle and hopefully if we can just screw back nicely with not much power at all, we should be able to get onto the red, although the spin somehow come onto the ball, which is a little bit strange right there. So let's try and get a bit of backspin on the ball. If we can bounce off the cushion and come back up, that would be absolutely lovely. I just want to check we're not going to hit any of the reds before we try and put this pink in. We're just making sure it's going in the heart of the pocket. We don't want to hit them too hard into the middle, just in case we miss out, and I think we bounced up perfectly for the red there, so it looks like we've got to the potting angle of it. It's a half century break, which is absolutely fantastic, and hopefully we can pot this red nicely now. We're going to try and nudge the black as well, as we've got a frame winning contribution on the board. One more red and it should be wrapped up, as there'll just be 43 left on the table. So we want to avoid them coming back at all. I'm just going to literally roll it in. We could try and play a flamboyant shot and set up a century break, but at this point I just want the match over with. A first win of our career at this stage is absolutely crucial. A brilliant pot on the red and we're on the pink to the middle, and that should leave us a nice angle as well as we continue our brilliant break. We're just a few pots away from our record one of our career, and that could be a monumental achievement, especially in the same frame that we seal our first victory. So let's try a little bit of backspin on this one again. We don't want the ball to go forward at all. We want to make sure the pink goes into the pocket, and then we're going to hit it as lightly as possible just to try and keep the cue ball on the pink spot. The pink's gone in, it's been returned to the black spot, and now we're on the red, and this should be an easy pot to the corner, leaving us with the option of pink or blue. We're going to try and come back up for the blue just because it looks like the easier shot at the moment, and then hopefully we can get an angle on that just to make sure we've sealed the frame. So 35% power. Let's get the red in first. We're on for the blue perfectly, and we've got an angle to get down for the red as well. It could be a record break here, but most importantly we've won our first professional match. We're just a blue and a red away from matching our record break, and it's been a fantastic performance in this one against a top 16 player in the world. We're on for the blue then, we've got the perfect angle, so we should be able to get down for the red nicely. I just want to make sure we don't overhit it. I'm not too worried about the angle on it, but blue, red and colour means a record break, so I've got to try and protect that value. We've got a decent angle on the red, it's not completely perfect, it is a missable pot, it's certainly not a banker, but hopefully we'll be able to put it in anyway and continue our brilliant break. So I'm just going to try and roll it in again. If we collide with the black then so be it, but if we put a bit of forward spin on the ball, we should come off the cushion enough just to get ourselves on for the pink. I've overhit it drastically, but luckily it was right in the throat of the pocket, so it didn't matter too much. And if we can put this pink or blue in now, it means we've got a record break for our career, as well as our first ever victory. What a day this could be. We're going to put the pink in, it looks a good angle, and we're going to try and come up with power and forward spin just to try and get on the yellow for the colours. If we can get all of what's left on the table, we will get ourselves a century break. It'll be exactly 100, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. That is far from my most important worries for now. We've got the pink to the pocket. Let's go for 50% power. See if we can get it in. How close can we get for the yellow? I think it's break over, I'm afraid, but we have got our record break and our first victory of our career. What a stunning performance against a top player. We're going to try and cut this in from the most ridiculous of angles, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to work, so we're just going to have to make do with a 73 record break and our first first victory against Luca Brecel. So let's try and put a bit of forward spin on it, just to make sure we go up and down the table. But one thing we don't want to do is get the pot perfectly straight and then under hit the yellow ball. It's an extremely thin cut, and unfortunately it hasn't gone in. It looked for a second like it would go into the middle pocket afterwards, but it wasn't to be. A 73 break and the first victory of our career. What a perfect time to come back for a bank holiday special. There's the confirmation, then we've wrapped it up. Luca Brecel concedes, rightly so, as he was never getting back into it, and we have the first victory of our career, the highest break of the match, over half the points in the match, and we wrap the game up with a frame to spare as well. Let's advance quickly then, see who we've got in the next round. We're not going to just show every round from the tournament. We'll come back when we're in match winning situations like this one, or when we've got an interesting opponent. But I want to see who we've got in the second qualifier. Hopefully it'll be a lowly ranked player to give ourselves an opportunity of getting through. It seems only against the top 10 or so we've really struggled and been outplayed, and this is a perfect opportunity now. We've got £2,500 in event earnings. We've got the 54th ranked player in the world. Sonny Akani is next up, so this should be a winnable match for us, and we could finally start to go on a run. So we may be back on Friday with round 3, but if not, at the very least we want to get to a deciding frame, and if we do end up in a decider in this one and aren't able to win comfortably, you'll possibly see the end to the game on camera. But if not, we'll be back for a third or fourth round tie, depending on who we come up against. If we get a couple of lower ranked opponents and we can see ourselves through comfortably, then we'll just come back once we get a big one, or it looks like we might be progressing to a brilliant later stage. But a fantastic performance, I'm delighted with that one, and hopefully we'll be able to go on a winning run now, with the next one coming on Friday on camera. So let's look at our pro. He's picked up some career earnings after that one, and hopefully we'll get to round 3 now. 2 of our last 3 matches, although over 2 tournaments, and one of them being the 6 Red World Championship rather than traditional snooker. We've still got 2 wins in 3, and we're starting to show some form now. The schedule's got some big events coming up, as is always the case in the winter period, so it could be a couple of really exciting months now we seem to have found our form. We've just got to get a bit of control of the cue ball and learn how to open up the pack a bit better, but unfortunately until we do that, it's always going to be a struggle to build a break. So our ranking should go up once we get our prize money. The Hall of Fame, hopefully we can add a trophy soon, but once we get a top 10 opponent, I think we're still going to be tested. But if you did enjoy this episode and the first victory of our career, as well as a record break, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what your record break is so far. Have you found it as hard to control the cue ball as me? It's not too bad where we're in and amongst the reds and we've got the pink and black open, but as soon as it's coming up for the blue or trying to open up the pack, I've really found things a little bit more tricky. Hopefully we'll be able to go on a run now, as it seems we've got a favourable draw in this one, and we'll have some exciting news in the next episode, as hopefully we'll be through to round 3. For the first time we've won a game in a ranking tournament, and if we could do it 2 in a row, that would just be fantastic. Subscribe to the channel for weekly content from this Snooker 19 career. We'll have content out every Friday at 4:30, and then we've got another bank holiday coming up at the end of May, and we'll have a bonus episode again on that day at the earlier time of 12 o'clock. There's also daily content from my 2 long-term FM19 stories, so go and check those out if you haven't already. But a massive thanks for watching and your continued support with this series. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time for another big game, hopefully with us still in the English Open.